world's first second episode of Financial Mistake Living, or FML. We are on our way to AutoZone to pick up some supplies. Today we're going to be working on the BMW. We need to change the filter, the fluid, and we need to change out the solenoids, shift solenoids. Don't usually need to change out the solenoids, but since I'm changing it out with expensive fluid, I'm going to change the solenoids while I'm in there, so I don't ever have to go back in there again for at least another 10,000 miles. On a side note, I really enjoy driving this Mercedes. You guys got to get you a classic Mercedes. So, I just got done saying how much I like driving the Mercedes, and we pulled up to the parts store, and it didn't start back up. Always a moment with the Mercedes. Luckily, I know everybody there on a first name basis, because I'm there all the time. And today's music is brought to you by my son, Evan. Alright, so we finally got our BMW jacked up. Everything's level so that we can get this done. So now the first step is to drain the fluid. And that is nice and black, just how we like our fluid. We're going to let that drain for a little bit, and then once it stops, we're kind of slowing down to a drip, so I'm going to put my plug back in without getting entirely covered with fluid. There we go. Now we got that done. We will start taking out our bolts for the pan. Loosen them up. Now that we have our pan dropped, we can kind of see what we got going on here. I pulled my camera out, and it looks like there's metal shavings in there, so I'm a little sad about that. Not a lot of metal shavings, but it kind of looks like there is. And then, as you can see, our fluid is pretty dirty. It needed to be changed. And then we have our original magnets. And again, we got more metal shavings in there. So we got new ones with our kit, so we don't need these anymore.
As you can see, we got some more shavings coming down, so hopefully we don't have a real big issue. The transmission shifted good, it's just a little slow and sluggish, and there's a little bit of a delay going into reverse. So it's not like it's got catastrophic transmission problems. So I'm going to clean this pan up, and then we're going to work on getting our Mechatronic system pulled out. So I would like to point out at this time that I should not be servicing this warning lifetime fluid. Yeah, it's not really lifetime. Maybe the lifetime of the vehicle after all the oil leaks and everything else, but yeah. Here's the fluid that I got. It's ZF transmission fluid. High performance full synthetic oil. This is what everybody's recommended, and it came in with a kit that I ordered online from FCP Euro. Included everything that I'm using today, so I didn't have to do any thinking. So that works out for me for a busy day with the kids. Alright, so we're gonna drop our Mechatronic unit, and since I didn't really pay attention to any of the videos and pictures that I saw online, I'm gonna kind of wing it. There are a bunch of Torx bolts underneath here, and some of them are slightly different than others, and I'm gonna pull those out and hopefully they're the right ones. So, no regrets. And I don't have the right size. So now I think I got the right socket. We are going to see if I can mess this up. So, if you're wondering what I'm doing, I forgot to unplug it. So I'm going to put a screw in there temporarily, and then we're going to unplug the main connector. So here is your plug that you need to unhook. It's in the back of the transmission, and then it's just got a little connector here that turns. Mine's got a little bit of debris on it. And then here's the plug. And you get a new one with your kit. So what you gotta do is pull this out, and you should be able to pull this connector out. Oh, that was easy. So yeah, there's that. Alright, now I can finish pulling that whole thing out, and I'm gonna go get another piece of cardboard so that I can lay that on there and try to keep as much debris out of there. And sounds like my neighbor is mowing his grass, so hopefully that doesn't come through on your guys' end. Alright, so we got our plug out. We got our plug connector out of there, so it should come straight down. Apparently I tightened that down all the way. now we're going to put our screw back in again because I missed 3 bolts. Alright, so we got it dropped. We're going to be replacing these 3 seals here. This seal here, and I think that's it. It all came with the kit, so everything looks pretty good underneath here. I'm going to guess that these needed to be changed because they're pretty flat and they should be sticking out a little bit, so I'm sure I'm losing a seal there and losing pressure. So we are gonna go get some lunch, and hopefully the neighbor's done mowing by the time we get back, and we're actually still waiting for Amazon to ship us our solenoids. So hopefully they get here sooner than later and I can finish this up today. So I decided on the way to lunch, I would explain a little history, backstory to this BMW. I bought this thing in February 2019. I actually got it on Copart, my first Copart vehicle. And it looked very promising. It was a donation vehicle. I'd been watching it for a while. I had to buy it now price. Nobody picked it up for good reason. And it went up for auction and I bid on it. I ended up getting it for $800, which comes out to be like $1,200 for everything. So I went to go pick it up in February in Wisconsin, and it happened to be one of the coolest days of the year. I think we're at -30. I recorded on my way there, and it was a 3-hour drive for me. Borrowed someone's truck, had to borrow another French trailer, and just drove. Got there, picked it up, everything looked good. The car was a California car. This thing's got 0 rust, which is a big deal for me being in Wisconsin because everything's got rust on it, and I hate rust. I hate working on stuff with rust. The Mercedes, I bought that. It's in pretty rough shape, but it's got no rust on it. It's a Texas car. But after getting the BMW home, back to the BMW, we couldn't get it running. It was listed on Copart as mechanical problems. Did a little research. We're getting spark. We weren't getting fuel, so I ended up checking the fuel pump out. Was not getting power. Checked the fuse. Fuse is good, but the fuse wasn't getting power, and nobody really knew where the power was coming from that point. So I took the fuse box apart. I'll see if I can get some pictures of it. And it was kind of interesting. It's like a circuit board. It's like a piece of metal, and they just like cut out channels. It's weird. So I put it all back together, and I was getting power to the fuel pump. I was getting fuel to the motor. So it started right up actually, but then it stopped, and I could not figure out why. It ran for maybe 10 seconds and then sputtered, backfired, and then that was it. So I took it into a shop thinking it was the overly complicated Valvetronic system that they have on these motors. I did not have a computer to kind of reset the program on it, and depending on who you talk to, you don't have to. It does it on its own every time you try to start it up. But I was dead certain that timing was off because of this Valvetronic system. So I had it taken in,
and I had the valve covers replaced since they were going to be taken off anyways to inspect the Valvetronic system. And that guy had my car for a month. By the time he got to it, it was like 60 degrees outside at that point. I could have done all this myself. He hooked up his scanner that was supposed to work and he couldn't get it to work, and it was just a complete waste of time and money. But I got it back home to find out that it was leaking oil really bad, and it was leaking oil from the alternator bracket gasket. And if anybody knows anything about these gaskets, they are a pain in the butt. Specifically one bolt. And that one bolt is what takes the bulk of the time, because to get to that bolt, you gotta move the front differential. To remove the front differential, you gotta remove axle. You gotta remove, some people have you drop the whole front subframe. I wasn't about to do that. I found a guy on YouTube, and he did it without doing it. He pulled the differential out a little bit without having to drop the whole subframe, and you're able to rotate it. And then I got a really tiny, skinny ratchet from Harbor Freight to get to that last bolt, and everything up to that bolt was actually really easy. But that one bolt, I don't know why they thought that was a great idea. I don't know why they thought it was a great idea to have oil running to a bracket, but it is what it is. It was probably really easy to get to when they had the motor out of the vehicle. So I got that changed thinking that I had a pressure issue to my Vanos units. And once I got that all changed, I didn't have any more oil leaking on the ground for a little bit. Short-lived. I forgot where I was going. Where do you want to eat?
Arby's.
Arby's? That's not, oh yeah, Arby's is over here. Like, that's not a list of people I told you we can go eat at. So, changing this gasket gave me oil pressure again, and it's not what fixed the problem. So finally, I decided to take the valve covers off and then check the timing, and sure enough, my timing marks were way off on the driver's side or left side of the vehicle. So, BMW style, I had to order a special tool to put the motor back in timing. I got that after I hit this person. I got that changed. Timing, thing fired right up. I was happy. Finally get to drive the BMW. I drove it for a little bit, for like a month, and it drives really, really well. The whole reason why I'm keeping it is because of how it drives. I'm just impressed by it. The power, the sportiness of it, it does not feel like an SUV to me. It feels like a sports car. I've driven a couple like S2000s. I had a couple 3 Series with all that had a sport package on it, which makes it sporty. And this does not feel like it. I am really impressed by it, and it's gonna be good come here, and they're calling for snow here in 3 days. So I'm trying to get all this stuff done so I can drive it this winter. I have quite the commute to work, so that'll make things better. Which brings us to our point now. I have a couple coolant leaks. I think I know where those are. I think all I have to do is change the O-rings in the lines. We're going to be going to a store here pretty soon, good old Harbor Freight, and we're going to get some O-rings. I'll do some videos of me looking for them. I bought a camera, a little inspection camera, so we can check stuff out. We also have an oil leak coming from the back of the motor somewhere. and I'm not entirely sure, and I want to inspect it with this camera. The whole reason why I bought this camera was to look for this oil leak at the back of the motor, because I can't see back there, and I'm not about to take the whole cowl apart to find out that I do need a gasket. There's nothing really back there to be leaking oil, so I don't even know. We're gonna take it apart after I inspect it with the camera. And go from there, get all these leaks buttoned up, because I am tired of adding oil to this thing. It's ridiculous. I'm tired of adding coolant to this thing. It's ridiculous. And that's not even all the leaks. I'm leaking power steering fluid. So that's, I think there's just hoses for this power steering fluid thing, so that's not a big deal. All that stuff's pretty easy to get to. So that's where we're at today with this. We're gonna get this transmission buttoned up so I don't have to work underneath it in the middle of winter, because I don't have a garage. So I'm trying to get everything done before it snows here in 3 days. And we're gonna go eat, and hopefully my parts come in from Amazon, and they're supposed to be here today. 2-day shipping. They're online, it says it'll be here by 9 p.m. So hopefully we can get that buttoned up before 9 p.m. So we're gonna go eat, and we'll see you in a little bit.
So I started taking apart the Mechatronic unit. So basically, to get that all off, you need to let this screw, this screw, this screw, this screw, and I think this screw. And then you can see on the back side where they bolt into, so you'll know where they go. And then getting the solenoids out, you have all these screws to take off, and then they just slide out. Then oil up your new ones and put them back in, and we'll put everything back together now and replace our seals. Alright, our next step is to get these seals out. So we're gonna do this big one here first. Get that out of there. That one doesn't look too bad. I figured that one would be our main culprit there. We also need to get that out too. We'll have to look. And we'll take this first one out. There we go. We got our first one out. Those do look bad. And then we'll work on getting the rest of these out. We got all of our seals changed out. We got this one up here changed out with the squares, but they sent me the wrong one, and it has some little tab on it. So I just broke the tab off, and it looks like it's gonna work now. So okay. Don't forget to take out your filter seal that's up here. You won't be able to get your filter back in when that's in the way. And now we're going to put this back up and start tightening everything up. Alright, so we got our valve body up. There's a specific torque sequence that you're supposed to do on these, so don't forget to look that up. I'll try to include a link to the sequence so you guys can do that on your own. But we got our valve body all put up. Next we're going to do the plug. I'm going to put the filter in, and then we should be ready for our pan. Alright, we got our filter on, we got our pan, our new gasket, we got our new bolt for the drain. That's about it. That's everything we need to do. The next thing I'm going to do is go through the whole... Kids. We're going to go through the fluid filling process that I'll outline and take it for a test drive. Thank you for watching.